On Christmas Eve, Eminem left his whole fanbase a present when he dropped his music video for Walk on Water, the first single and intro track off of Revival, his newest full-length album. I've already done a full 2-part breakdown of the album, which you could find the first part of in the card above, but I wanted to take a closer look at the video and give you guys my analysis and a deeper breakdown of the song itself, based on the accompanying film. You can find this music video in the description if you haven't seen it already, and I'll be referencing of course the music video and my previous analysis of Walk on Water for my breakdown throughout this video. But let's dive in. The video opens with this shot of light breaking into a clouded dark space, and as the camera angle moves down, we see the same light leading straight into this microphone and stand, with M sitting in a chair beside it. Before he even starts rapping, you get a sense of the situation here, that M is trapped in this isolation and darkness, and his only way out, his only connection to the outside world, and his only literal beam of light is his music, represented by the microphone. Before we move on to the rest of the video, just to give you a general sense of what the song is trying to say and the message that is furthered by this video, here's a clip of what I said about it in my breakdown. He opens this whole project and steps back into the music world with a moment of vulnerability, almost venting about how he's never really been able to meet that standard and that bar set so high by himself years ago. And he continues to struggle to meet the expectations of those fans who resonated with and enjoyed that early music and craved more of it on the same level. So how does this all translate into the images and scenes we see in the music video? Let's pick up where we left off to find this answer. This video is structured in a way that it alternates between 3 different settings, each representing a different aspect of Eminem's journey as an artist. The first of these settings is the stage, which starts out as the isolated and dark room that Eminem sits in initially, but when he touches the mic and decides to pursue his music, the light opens up for him and he's no longer alone. He's where he belongs on the stage. The way this setting progresses throughout the video is really interesting. He starts out with nobody in the audience, representing how he had no fans when he was just starting out. But there's this really cool faded time-lapse effect that starts out happening in the background, representing how his living situation and where he lived and the places he had to go through was changing. And then it started happening in the crowd, representing how fans start coming in and his fan base keeps changing in terms of amount of people, who the people are, and then it ends up hitting M himself with his different personas and looks throughout the years being represented. By the end, to represent his implied falling off, the motion slows down and the people start leaving from the audience. But the biggest point here is that no matter what changed in the set, the crowd, or even in M himself, one thing stayed constant, was always there for him, and he was stuck by: the mic and the music. It was the anchor that kept him grounded while everything else wavered, and he starts and ends in this setting with the mic still in his hands, still giving him light and keeping him away from the darkness. The second of these settings is the typewriter room, inspired by the infinite monkey theorem, which basically states that a monkey hitting keys at random on a typewriter keyboard for an infinite amount of time will almost surely type a given text, according to Wikipedia, with the most common text example being Shakespeare's works. While this theorem was initially just meant to be an interesting hypothetical, Eminem uses it here in a really interesting way. Throughout the video, it represents that frustration we talked about that he feels when trying to write new music. It's more than just writer's block, it's an expression of how, because of the pressures from the media, the fans, and himself, everything he writes just seems like it's not good enough, that it's garbage and doesn't mean anything. There's a look of urgency and panic on all of the Eminem's faces, and the floor is covered with layers and layers of paper, representing how hard he's trying and how much work he's doing to produce something good, but how difficult it's become. It seems like in the timeline of his career, these typewriter scenes take place after his peak, trying to write his later albums, including this one. At the end of the video though, this typewriter scene comes together when one of the Eminem stops writing just gibberish and types out the lyrics of Stan, leading to the song's final lines and also changing the context of the song in the timeline of his career. It would have you think that this is just how he feels about his process now, but instead he reveals that it's always been this difficult for him to write, but in the end it would work out and he would create classics, in this case Stan. He's trying to say that it's never been magic. It's always been his hard work and dedication. So the last setting isn't introduced until it's towards the end of the video. It's M traversing this cold and snowy ice cap. There are 2 important events here, 2 important things that he sees. The first is himself trapped underneath the ice. Going back to the lyrics of the hook itself, M claims that he can only walk on water when it freezes, setting up the fact that he's only human and that the seemingly impossible things he's done in his music aren't as magical as they seem, as he alluded through the randomness in the second setting. This second M trapped underneath, therefore, must represent a time when he's tried to meet up with the expectations by shooting for doing the impossible and walking on water, but instead, that left him trapped in his failure. The second M's expression serves like a warning to the current M, assuring him that he doesn't have to do the impossible to meet these expectations. Now the second thing that he sees is a giant mask covered by a tarp, and I believe that this mask is a giant statue of himself, representing the larger-than-life legacy that he left behind. He sees it, and he can be assured that the ice, even though it's thin and cracking, representing all his current efforts, is enough to support the giant expectations of his legacy, giving him the confidence to move forward with his career without worrying about the past. So there's my analysis of the music video. If you liked, please leave a like and subscribe down below. Hope you all have had a great holiday season and an even better 2017, and I just wanted to thank you all for a great year. Let's kill it in 2018, and I hope you're all there to see.